moving into slightly out of the terror financing realm and into lighter talks of online. Are online scams any lighter? I don't know. Everything's so depressing.
I don't think it's lighter, but,
I've lost hope.
Do we have, where's Nitsan from? Okay, Nitsan, come over.
Okay.
All right. Dotan.
And can I just say, CEO of Refine Intelligence and, as I said before, the living spirit behind FraudCon and many other sides of this wonderful community. Okay.
All right. We started FraudCon in 2018. In 2018, the UK banking industry had a lot of fraud. What they did not have is a lot of scams, a lot of APP, authorized push payment. That was just starting. And before I introduce the folks, I just want to share with you the first APP scam that I came across, which was a weird sort of case that one of the banks in the UK, one of the top five banks in the UK, brought to our attention. So they were sending us like a feedback file of all of the fraud incidents, and they were like researching each of those incidents. And one of them was like very, very bizarre. It was a lady that received a phone call from a mobile carrier, and you know, hey, you're late on your payments, can you please pay? She paid with a debit card. And then 5 minutes later, she gets a call from the bank. Hey, we see some suspicious activity here. Can you explain what it is? Yeah, it's my mobile provider. I was late on my fees, I paid. No, we see that you send money, but it wasn't to your mobile carrier. It was a different sort of account. And that was probably like a fraudster that tricked you. And you gave your debit card number, which is associated with your bank account number. So unfortunately, we'll have to move you to a new bank account. Please log in online. We'll give you your new and safe bank account number, and you can move all of your money to your new and safe bank account. And she started doing that, and she was told, look, but there's a problem because you have like too much money in your checking account. You have like 26,000 pounds, that's too much. How about you move 9,000 pounds? We will tell you that everything is fine with your new and safe bank account, and then you can start moving more. I was working at BioCatch at the time, BioCatch Behavioral Biometrics. Dotan is from BioCatch, and it was like we looked at this transaction and this activity. We didn't catch it. You know, our magnificent AI gave it a very low score, because of several reasons. And now let's move into explaining what those APPs are. Scam versus fraud, okay? Was it a fraud or was it a scam? In a fraud situation, the criminals trick the victims to divulge their access credentials. Could be like a one-time code these days, etc. But the criminals, the fraudsters, are moving money from the account. In a scam situation, the victim is being tricked to send her own money. That's the difference. This is authorized payments, authorized payments fraud, known as APP. So whatever that lady was reporting, that wasn't fraud. That was actually the first scam incident. It was in 2016, I think. And again, I looked at all of this and said, it will never fly. Like, who's going to fall for that? By now, APP is 5 times bigger than all of the fraud combined in the UK. And I'm talking about phishing and Trojans and social engineering and any type of imaginable fraud where the criminals collect information and then go into the bank account and move money. I'm talking about online banking. The APP issue, scams, are 5 times bigger than that. So it kind of shows you how things evolve. Why is it so difficult for the banks to detect? It's essentially because it is the customer, and they pass strong authentication. In the UK, everything is two-factor authentication. It's a trusted device. There's no malware. It's come from the same location. There's no bot activity or remote access activity or anything. And it's done by the real user. So if you run any kind of profiling on the user, it's the same person. And there are no criminal patterns because it's not a criminal inside the account. That's why it was so difficult for everyone to detect. I'm going to introduce a few folks here. Dotan from BioCatch, Aviad from IBM Trusteer. These are the vendors that have to face this sort of activity and detect it on behalf of the banks. It is difficult to detect, but they're going to share some of the trade secrets on how you can actually do that. But then when we thought about this event today, FraudCon community, we don't want to be narrowly focused on just one side of the issue. When you have a scam, it does not start at the bank. It actually starts when the victim is being triggered and targeted. So we wanted to have that covered as well, and invited Nitsan from the Israeli Internet Association to tell us about how these scams actually start. They start on the platforms, on the media platforms, social media, etc. And it's very interesting to see how this is all done. One thing interesting around scams, initially most of those scams were impersonation scams like the one I described, where you're being tricked because it's the bank calling you or it's law enforcement calling you. And right now you have to move all of your money to a new bank account, etc. But in the UK, the banks are now responsible to reimburse customers in any type of scam, investment scams, romance scams, crypto scams. As long as the victim moved money without knowing it was a scam, the bank where the money was moved from is going to be liable for that. The full liability is actually happening in October this year. So how can banks really face all of this and try to detect all of this? It does require a lot of collaboration, a lot of effort on everyone's side. So we'll start with the trigger. And Nitsan, you can now show us how it's all working.
Good morning. So my name is Nitsan Yasur. I'm the Disinformation and Digital Investigation Lead at the Israeli Internet Association. Today I will share some insights and data from the Internet Safety Hotline that we operate, including some examples of fraud cases reported to the hotline. To give you some context, the hotline has been operating over a decade. It helps users who have been harmed online, providing some assistance and conducting in-depth investigation to address and mitigate those issues. Additionally, the hotline is recognized as a trusted flagger by the majority of social media platforms and leading online services. Each year, the hotline receives thousands of reports, many of them involving frauds, scams experienced by Israeli users, particularly on social media platforms. I'll share and show you some cases involving that.
Should I start?
Yeah, let's watch a short deepfake video.
Let's work Mark Zuckerberg explain about the recent investment platform that he's promoting. We'll probably need to do it. Can you go and just click on that?
Are you tired of only scammers in the field of finance? Stop falling for beautiful promises of thousands of dollars a day without doing anything. I'm tired of watching people lose money in scam projects. I am Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of the Meta universe. I open access to my platform, Meta Bot. Tell me, how long does it take to make $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000? That's a rhetorical question. I know how you're going to answer it. But what if I told you it's possible in a month, a week, or even just one day? Take a look at these screens. These are the results of people who have joined MetaBot. You can do it too. Register on the official website, then take a call from a Meta specialist. After that, it is enough to invest $250 in your assets so that MetaBot will start multiplying them tenfold. Join.
Anyone here using MetaBot? No? All right. You want to explain what this was?
Yeah, so this is an international investment scam. Use deep fake video. Is it? Okay, thanks. So this is an international investment scam that used deepfake videos showed up for users as a paid ad in their Facebook feed. Can we move to the...
Yeah, but before that, one of the things that we talked about is the fact that this is targeted, right? Because if you think about it, until several years ago, most of the victims were targeted using direct communications. So you get an email, you get an SMS, you get something like that. This is not the sort of thing that is happening right now. You surf somewhere, could be your social media, could be your platform that you normally go to, could be like you search something on Google. Because you do that, the platform knows you. And now it can offer targeted advertising. This is a targeted ad. So it basically leverages the fact that you are inside your platform, okay, which knows you, and now the specific content will be provided to you. So this is a much more targeted attack than ever before, right? It's not just the deepfake, it's the fact that it's targeted to that specific individual based on their interests and needs, okay? All right.
Thank you. And this is just...
Are you tired of only...
Yes, we are. Okay, so now on the screen, I hope that you can see, yeah. So that was an international investment scam. This is the Israeli phenomenon of this scam. So we managed to find many copies of the deepfaking celebrities, politicians, and economic figures, which recommended the similar investment product and promoted through Facebook ads. And I will just connect to what you were just mentioned. So when we are thinking why the platforms are so attractive to the malicious actors, I think firstly it's where the public is. I mean, the public is there. The Israeli audience is one of the highest in the world using social media. And the users feel safe. They're in a safe environment, surrounded by friends and family. And additionally, these platforms enable this micro-targeting with high accuracy through the advanced targeting and advertising tools. Combine these deepfake videos with these advanced targeting tools. Just imagine the users are flooded by the right videos, just the right videos of the personalities they admire or respect. And I think it's also a good tool because it's just a black box. They allow the attackers to remain anonymous. Other technology companies, law enforcement, and civil society, in most cases, cannot expose the malicious actors who enjoy anonymity under the platform's protection.
And by the way, this is all international, right? So a few days ago, Royal Bank of Scotland in the UK published the top 5 targeted ads for investment and crypto scams that are hitting their customers. I think number 1 was Elon Musk. He was used. Number 2 was like a financial advice guru in the UK. Forgot his name. It is very targeted, and it's happening globally. It's not obviously just in Israel. It's a global issue. And as Nitsan said, it's pretty effective. Specifically, if you think about investment scams and crypto scams, those are some of the most popular type of scams that are happening these days.
Yeah, maybe if we move to the next slide. Yeah, so it's not only this paid ads that the user gets. We can see here an example of purchase scam that, again, reached to the users by paid ads. And it includes comment and coordinated fake accounts that's saying that the original products are actually arrived, and this is absolutely not a scam, as the other comment says. So I think if I need to conclude, the social media platforms are very attractive to the malicious actors. The public is there and feel safe. The platforms give a set of tools to manipulate the users and to stay anonymous. And I think as some of the richest corporations in the world, it's just, I think, more than appropriate that they invest resources and improve the user safety, especially when they actually profit from those scams ads and benefit from the traffic generated by such activities.
So what can the platforms actually do to stop this?
I think first they need to invest resources, human resources, technological resources, to tackle this in multiple languages all around the world. I think this is the main issue, just invest.
And what do they actually do?
Not enough, I guess. When we as a trusted flaggers report some of those ads, accounts, and pages, it takes quite a long time to remove those ads. And sometimes even if the ads is removed, it can come again with different source. And when the user actually report it, nothing happens. Instead, they get more and more of these scams because they interact with this ad. So the platform thinks it's interesting them.
Right, because it's targeted. Is there any difference between those platforms, like a platform that is doing better than other platforms to fight all of this?
So we conduct research during the two first months of the war to compare the platforms, how the platforms deal with harmful content. It wasn't especially on scams and frauds. It was more on like real-world harm issues. I can tell you that most of them, like all of them, are not good enough. We can see the differences maybe between them on the audience level. I would say it's a different audience, and it's providing different tools for the attackers. So I think the difference is from the audience and the tools that they provide.
We'll talk more about all of this and like the expectations that, let's say, the government, the regulators all have around the banks to stop the problem because it's their customers and they're supposed to know the customers. We actually see that the platforms that know the customers more than anyone, they're not part of that effort to try to stop this sort of global attack from happening. And we're now moving to the bank's perspective. Banks globally use multiple lines of defense by Israeli technologies. I don't want to mention all of the companies that are helping the international financial institution community, but certainly IBM Trusteer, BioCatch, and many others are really in the front line of fighting scams, mule detection, and other sort of issues like that, obviously fraud. So we wanted to hear from both BioCatch and Trusteer, and let's start with BioCatch. Behavioral biometrics and the notion that you are now looking at the actual activity of the customer as they move the money. Can you actually detect the fact that it is a scam, right? So I'm going to give you that clicker, and you can then advance your slides.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dotan. I'm a data scientist at BioCatch. And I'm going to present a scam that actually happened to one of our Latin America employees, which is a person that works daily with banks, hear all kinds of fraud stories and scams. And he was surprisingly amazed when he was almost a victim himself for fraud. So it goes like this. He got a phone call from the actual number, the formal number of the bank. And he answered the call. And then he heard a recording that informed him that there is some kind of a purchase that he made that looks suspicious. And in case that he didn't make it, so he needs to press 2 to go to the bank's agent and report it. So he pressed 2. He waited for an agent to answer, which of course was the fraudster, not the agent of the bank. And then she told him that she needs to confirm all his details, his personal details. She didn't ask for his details. It's like she was from the bank, so she knows everything. So she was confirming his SSN, his full name, his mother's name, and all sorts of personal data. At this point, he didn't suspect anything. It was super reliable. And then she also told him that she's going to send an SMS with the transaction details. Also, it came from the bank's number, which was also a step to gain the trust. And he didn't suspect anything. And then she told him that she needs to generate some kind of a report and he needs to stay on the line. And in case that the call will suddenly drop, all he needs to do is to call the official number of the bank, which is, as we all know, this is the advice that we all get to make sure that we are not being fooled, like call the formal number. So, okay, he was waited. And then suddenly the call was dropped. And he received another call, but it was from WhatsApp, which was a bit weird. He answered the WhatsApp call, and then it was the same agent, of course, the fraudster, that told him, okay, so we just need to make a few steps on your bank app, so please log into your web app and share your screen, which was starting to feel a bit weird to him. And then she told him that his account was being compromised and he needs to transfer money to a secure account, and we all know this story. And then she was sure that, okay, it's not too genuine, and he hung up the call. But it shows that if a person that works in a fraud company and lives daily this world, it shows how much the fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated by gaining the trust of the users. And I'm going to talk about a bit of the signals that we are using in BioCatch, which are core features are actually to use the behavioral biometric data of the users. We are collecting all kinds of signals from the keyboard, from the mouse, from the screen. And we use it to identify the behavior of the user, which is being scammed. And usually when the user is being scammed, if it's a mobile session that is making over the bank and someone is instructing him, he's getting some kind of a nervous electronic activity, which we can see over here that there is a flow of the journey of the user that for example, if it's a scam, we can see all kinds of jumps of back and forth between different contexts of the journey, where in the regular, let's say normal case, we see a step-by-step flow. So having these zigzags between different contexts suggests that maybe the user is confusing, maybe he's not sure what to do, he's stressed. Also, as we can see over here, there is a long time that it takes to fill in all the payment accounts, the payment details, the payee details, the account. He doesn't know it. Maybe he's hesitating. Maybe he's not sure. Maybe he's making mistakes, making all sorts of delete, and then not sure if to continue or not. And of course, also we can see multiple payments over the session. It's not like the ordinary way that we recognize regular payments. And as we know, because this is a scam, everything is made from the genuine user IP, the same device that we are familiar from to get sessions from this user. But we can see all sorts of indications, like if it's a mobile session, if the user has an active call, so we can identify it, and it supports the case that it might be a scam. Also, we have all sorts of signals. Even though it's a web session, we don't have the ability to identify that this is an active call. We can see that it takes a long time for the user to make the login process, all sorts of pauses during the session that he may be waiting for instructions from the fraudster. Also, in the typing, there are all sorts of pauses because he's getting dictates from the fraudster of the details that he's not familiar with. And also, we can see with the mouse events all different behaviors like doodling, the same that we are doing when we are talking on the phone and we are mesherbetim with a pen. So the same thing we are doing with a mouse when we have in our hands while we are in front of a computer. So we have behavioral signals to recognize these sorts of scams.
Is there any difference from your perspective between the types of scams? So obviously if it's some sort of impersonation attack. Hey, we are the bank, you need to move money right now, it's more confusing, etc. Versus it's an investment scam. We've seen Mark Zuckerberg, convincing me to buy Metabot or something. Or it could be like a Roman scam and these sort of like long-term scams. Would there be any differences in terms of the signals?
All right, so the behavior key here is, this is the key. If the behavior is hesitating and the scam is being over the phone and the user is stressed, so this is one type of behavior that our signals will work and will show that the behavior is different. But in other cases, as you mentioned, and also business email compromise, Roman scams, investments, we won't see this kind of behavior. In this case, what we are doing to deal with it is to switch the point of view and look at the account of where the money goes to. We have also mule models that works really good, and we can identify accounts that are suspicious as mule accounts. And even though all the activity of the user looks super normal, we can still see all kinds of signals about specific accounts, like if this account had fraudulent activity before, and also the mule riskiness, as I mentioned.
All right, great. Okay, Aviad, you wanted to share interesting research that Trusteer was doing and your team was doing. Let's see what it.
Yes.
What it looks like.
Hi everyone. My name is Aviad Kodman. I'm a security solution analytics team lead in IBM Trusteer. So what I want to present today is how we can use different call indications to help detect, mitigate, and stop the rising issue of scams. This is an analysis done on several European customers who have been suffering from increased volume of scams, rising to almost triple the normal volume since the start of the year. So it's clear that deeper analysis needs to be done. We all can understand that an active call during the session is a very strong indicator for scams. And while it's not mandatory, it's prevalent in a lot of scams. However, it's not as uncommon as people might think. For example, in this data set, between 3 to 5% of the transactions actually occur with an active call or in short proximity to an active call. And even transfers to newly added payees have occurred in over 2% of the cases, meaning we understand that we need stronger correlated values in order to be able to detect this with good accuracy. So the first item that we want to look at is the actual length of the call. It makes sense that in scams, the call would have substantial length. The fraudster is not just going to call the victim and tell him, hey, my friend, can you please transfer 1,000 euros to my account and be done with it? It's not going to work. The fraudster needs to convince, to groom the victim in order to make sure that the payment will be successful and the fraudster will gain money. And we can indeed see that in over half of the scam cases, the calls are over 7 minutes long, enough time for the fraudster to work his magic words and make sure the scam is successful. We can also see that it's a bit different from other MOs like account takeover or remote takeover. For example, remote takeover, we see much longer calls because in those cases, the fraudster needs much more back and forth. For example, instructing the victim to go to a website, download the software, a ThinkViewer, install it. So these end up being much longer calls. So, okay, we understand that there are substantial lengths to scam calls, but that's not enough. Maybe the end users just really like to have heart-to-heart conversations while they're making transactions, and it's not only common in scams. What we want to do in order to utilize this is to check for the actual fraud correlation. So in order to do that, because the duration is such a volatile value with many different values, we bucket it, grouped it into different buckets, like long, short, medium calls, and combined it with additional indicators. We can clearly see, first of all, that the longer the calls are, it's more correlated to fraud, except for a small dip in the end when the calls are extremely long, over 1 hour long, when usually it means that the fraudster is having some kind of trouble convincing the victim, so this ends up being less correlated than shorter calls. And the main fraud correlation that we can see, is for incoming calls when the transaction is done to a new payee and the call is above medium duration. In such cases, we can see that even without looking for any other known scam indicators, even without looking at any prior history for the user, 1 in 12, 1 in 13 of calls which